My dear brothers and sisters, have you ever stepped into a room filled with people, yet felt an indescribable loneliness, as if the language of your soul is one that no one else understands? Have you ever wondered why you always feel different, set apart, misunderstood, or even labeled as strange? This isn't by chance. It's not a mere coincidence that your journey seems to follow a path unlike anyone else's. That feeling of being different isn't a burden. It is a subtle, divine indication that Allah is preparing you for something far greater, something only you can fulfill. Reflect upon this. Wasn't Prophet Musa, alayhi salam, alone when he was cast into the river as an infant? Yet that very moment of loneliness was his first step towards becoming a chosen messenger of Allah. Didn't Prophet Yusuf, alayhi salam, experience the depths of isolation, abandoned in a well by his own brothers and later imprisoned unjustly, only to rise as a leader and interpreter of dreams by the will of Allah? My dear brothers and sisters, these are not just stories, they are signs. Signs that sometimes isolation and hardship are Allah's way of refining and strengthening those He has chosen. But here's what we often forget. These signs are rarely loud or obvious. They don't always come in grand, earth-shaking events. Instead, they arrive as whispers in the depths of your heart, moments of clarity that others might overlook, but that weigh heavily on your soul. A feeling that something greater awaits you, that the tests you endure are shaping you into the person you were always meant to become. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, why me? Why am I going through this? Perhaps the better question is, what is Allah trying to teach me? What role is He preparing me for? In today's discussion, we will uncover 7 powerful signs that indicate Allah has set you apart for a purpose beyond your imagination. But let me remind you, this is not to create arrogance or a sense of superiority. No, it is to invite us to reflect humbly on how Allah guides, molds, and prepares every soul for its unique journey. These signs are not exclusive to a select few. They are a mercy for all of us, a call to realign our hearts, to deepen our connection with Allah, and to understand the wisdom behind our struggles and differences. So, I invite you to stay with me until the very end of this journey. By the time we finish, you may begin to see your life, your trials, your solitude, your inner whispers in an entirely new light. Perhaps you will recognize that you too are being guided and chosen for something extraordinary. The question is, are you ready to listen? Are you ready to see what Allah is showing you? Number 1. A sense of being out of place. Have you ever been in a gathering, perhaps among friends, family, or colleagues, where everything around you felt perfectly normal to them, but profoundly unsettling to you? While laughter fills the room and conversations flow effortlessly, you sit quietly, lost in your own thoughts, almost as if you are present in body, but absent in spirit. It's as though your heart speaks a language that those around you cannot understand. And in that moment, you begin to wonder, why do I feel this way? Why can't I find comfort in what seems to make everyone else happy? Perhaps it is when others indulge in gossip, criticizing people who are not there to defend themselves, and you sit silently, feeling uneasy. Or maybe it's when you see the endless pursuit of wealth, status, and material gain being glorified, and you find yourself questioning, is this all there is? Even as a child, you might have sensed a disconnect when shallow things like popularity or competition were celebrated. But deep down, your soul longed for something more meaningful. This yearning, dear brothers and sisters, is not a flaw. It is not a weakness. It is a sign, an indication that Allah has created your heart to be different. Reflect on the life of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even before the Qur'an was revealed to him, even before he was chosen as the final messenger, he felt a deep discomfort with the corruption and idolatry that surrounded him in Mecca. While others participated in the chaos and moral decay of society, his heart refused to be at ease. It was this discomfort that led him to seek solitude in the cave of Hira, where he would retreat to reflect, to contemplate, and to connect with the deeper truths of existence. My dear brothers and sisters, was he running from the world? No, he was being prepared to transform it. The same pattern emerges in the life of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. As a young boy, he questioned the worship of idols in his community when no one else dared to. He felt out of place, isolated, even mocked for rejecting the beliefs that everyone else accepted without question. Yet it was precisely this sense of being different that became the foundation for his journey as one of the greatest messengers of Allah. Now consider this. Could it be that your discomfort with this world is because your soul was not created to settle for its temporary distractions? Allah says in the Qur'an, "And I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me." Surah Ad-Dariyat 56. This ayah reminds us that the purpose of our existence is far greater than chasing wealth, status, or fleeting pleasures. When your heart feels uneasy with the trivialities of life, it is because Allah is guiding you back to Him. He is protecting your soul from becoming lost in distractions that serve no real purpose. But let's not sugarcoat it. Feeling out of place is not always easy. There will be times when people misunderstand you, when they question why you don't join in their activities or share their priorities. You might feel isolated, judged, or even rejected. The Prophet ﷺ himself said, "Islam began as something strange, and it will return to being strange, so glad tidings to the strangers." Sahih Muslim. This hadith is a reminder that being different in the way of Allah is not a curse, it is a blessing. The strangers are those whose hearts remain steadfast in a world that has forgotten its creator. They are the ones who, despite the challenges of isolation, remain firm in their faith, because they know that Allah's pleasure is worth more than the approval of the world. So, if you have ever felt out of place, whether in a gathering, in society, or even within your own family, know that you are not alone. You are walking a path that countless prophets, righteous individuals and believers have walked before you. These moments of discomfort are not signs of rejection. They are divine reminders that your soul is destined for something greater. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this discomfort Allah's way of calling me closer to Him? Could it be that He is guiding me to detach from the superficial so I can attach myself to the eternal? My brothers and sisters, if you carry this sense of being different, know that it is a gift. It is Allah's way of shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for a purpose that only you can fulfill. And though it may not always feel easy, remember, those who stand out for the sake of Allah will never be left forgotten. Number 2, the weight of being misunderstood. Have you ever tried to explain your thoughts or feelings to someone only to be met with blank stares or even criticism? Maybe your ideas were seen as too deep, your values too strict, or your dreams too unrealistic. It's not easy, my dear brothers and sisters. Sometimes the very people we care about the most, friends, family, even close companions, fail to understand the depth of what's in our hearts. It feels isolating, doesn't it? Like you're carrying a weight no one else can see. Imagine the emotional burden of trying to remain steadfast in your values while feeling unseen and unheard. Perhaps you've chosen to reject the lure of materialism, to step away from toxic influences, or to prioritize your deen over worldly pleasures. Yet, instead of receiving support, you are met with doubt, ridicule, or silence. It is in these moments, my dear brothers and sisters, that you must remember, Allah is watching. Every sacrifice you make for His sake, every moment of misunderstanding you endure, is seen and valued by Him. Allah says in the Qur'an, "And we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits, but give good tidings to the patient." Surah Al-Baqarah 155. Think about the story of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. For 950 years, he preached to his people with sincerity, warning them and guiding them to the truth. Yet, only a small handful believed in his message. Imagine the immense pain he must have carried when even his own son rejected him, turning away from the truth. How heavy must his heart have felt. But he remained resolute, understanding that his mission was not about being accepted or praised by people. It was about fulfilling the command of Allah. The weight of being misunderstood is not a punishment, it is a test. It is Allah's way of purifying your intentions and strengthening your resolve. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam was misunderstood, betrayed and imprisoned unjustly. Yet every trial was a stepping stone to his ultimate purpose. Likewise, your struggles with being misunderstood may very well be Allah's way of preparing you for something greater, a role, a mission, or a task that only you can fulfill. Perhaps you've experienced moments when others labeled you as too strict for prioritizing your faith, or too serious for choosing to focus on meaningful goals rather than fleeting pleasures. My dear brothers and sisters, take heart. The very things that set you apart are often the qualities Allah uses to elevate you. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Glad tidings to the strangers, those who reform what the people have corrupted." Sahih Muslim. If you feel the weight of being misunderstood, know that you are in the company of the prophets and the righteous. Their struggles remind us that being on the path of truth often means standing alone, but never being alone. Allah is always with you. He is your greatest witness, your constant supporter, and your ultimate guide. So ask yourself, is this weight a sign that I am walking the path Allah has chosen for me? If you remain patient, steadfast, and sincere, know that the burden you carry today will one day become the reason for your elevation. But what happens when this misunderstanding reaches a breaking point, when relationships strain and you are forced to make painful choices? That is where the next sign comes into play. Number 3. A call to walk alone. There are moments in life when the people you once leaned on begin to drift away, not because you've changed for the worse, but because your growth in faith makes them uncomfortable. The closer you draw to Allah, the more distant the world around you might feel. It is as if Allah, in His infinite wisdom, is removing distractions and clearing your path toward Him alone. Think deeply about this. How often have you noticed relationships shifting when you began taking your faith seriously? Maybe you stopped participating in idle gossip, refrained from actions displeasing to Allah, or prioritized your salah over social gatherings and entertainment. At first, the changes may have been subtle, a missed phone call here, an unreturned message there. Slowly but surely, the invitation ceased, and the people who once filled your life faded into the background. It stings, doesn't it? To see bonds you once held dear begin to unravel. But pause for a moment. Were those relationships truly built on sincerity, mutual respect and understanding? Or were they mere conveniences that thrived when you were part of the same crowd? My dear brothers and sisters, this is not a loss but a purification. Allah removes people who no longer serve your soul, so that your heart can make space for those who will uplift you on the path to Him. Reflect on the story of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. When he called his people to the truth, not only did they reject his message, but they also plotted to kill him by throwing him into a fire. Imagine the weight of that solitude, standing firm in his faith while the entire community turned against him. Yet, what did Allah, the most merciful, do? He commanded the fire to be cool and peaceful for Ibrahim. We said, "O fire, be coolness and safety upon Ibrahim." Surah Al-Anbiya 21:69. Perhaps your current loneliness is a fire in disguise, one that Allah is cooling for you. He is preparing your heart for something far greater. When Allah removes people or situations from your life, He is teaching you to rely solely on Him. It may be painful, but it is also a test of strength and sincerity. The question you must ask yourself is this: how do you find peace when you're left to walk alone? Do you let the emptiness consume you, or do you embrace it as a divine opportunity to grow closer to Allah? Let's uncover this hidden blessing further. Number 4. A heart that finds peace in solitude. Take a moment to look around at the world today. There is a constant pressure to be busy, distracted, and connected. Social media bombards us with endless notifications. Worldly goals demand our attention, and validation comes from fleeting likes and followers. But amidst all this noise, have you ever felt an unusual calm when you step away from it all? Like your soul is yearning for something the world cannot provide. That feeling is not isolation or weakness. It's a profound sign of clarity, a gift from Allah that few recognize. A heart that finds peace in solitude is often a heart that Allah is drawing closer to Himself. While others chase approval from people, you find contentment in turning toward your Creator. This is a blessing, a quiet whisper of Allah saying, "I am sufficient for you." Think about it. Have you found yourself pulling back from things you once thought were essential? Constant socializing, the pursuit of wealth, or meaningless entertainment? It's not because you're running away from the world, but because Allah is reminding you that true contentment comes from Him alone. The life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam serves as the perfect example. Before receiving the first revelation, he would retreat to the cave of Hira, seeking solitude from the chaos of society. It was not an escape, it was a preparation. In that quiet isolation, his heart aligned fully with Allah's plan. And what came after? A mission that transformed the world. Now ask yourself this: could your moments of solitude be a preparation too? Could the stillness you feel, even when others label it as loneliness, be Allah's way of strengthening you for a purpose yet unseen? When the world fails to understand you, it is often because you are walking a path they cannot see. However, solitude is not always easy. It can feel heavy and unsettling, especially when no one seems to share your journey. But remember, Allah promises, "And we are closer to Him than His jugular vein." Surah Kaf 50:16. You are not alone. Your solitude has a purpose. When you sit in the quiet of your room, away from the world's distractions, know that you are never truly alone. Allah is with you, listening, guiding, and preparing you for something greater. The question remains: how can you embrace solitude as a sign of being chosen? What steps can you take to let this quietness bring you closer to Allah? Let's delve deeper into this journey. Number 5. The burden of strained relationships. Let's face the reality of our times. Relationships today feel increasingly fragile. It's as though every step you take must be measured carefully, lest you offend or push someone away. You try to maintain peace, yet misunderstandings creep in like shadows, and suddenly the people you hold close seem distant. How often have you felt this weight on your heart and wondered, why does it feel so hard to connect with others? My dear brothers and sisters, know this: strained relationships are not always failures, they are often divine signs. When Allah is preparing you for something greater, He refines your surroundings as well. He removes friendships that drain your soul, distances you from people who stunt your spiritual growth, and protects you from relationships that might lead you away from Him. Think about the moments you've had to let go of a toxic friendship, or when you created boundaries with family members who couldn't respect your values. Yes, it was painful. It felt like cutting away a part of yourself. But have you ever stopped to consider that perhaps this was Allah's way of protecting you? How many times have you compromised your faith just to fit in? How many times did you feel exhausted by relationships that gave you nothing but emptiness? The story of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam teaches us a profound lesson about strained relationships. For 950 years, he called his people to the truth, yet only a handful responded. Even his own son turned away from him, choosing disbelief over salvation. Imagine the heartbreak of a father witnessing his child reject the path of Allah. Yet Nuh alayhi salam remained steadfast, knowing that his duty was to convey the message, not to force acceptance. Indeed, you cannot guide whom you love, but Allah guides whom He wills. Surah Al-Qasas 28:56. Your strained relationships too hold wisdom. They are not there to break you, but to teach you reliance on Allah alone. Sometimes you must let go of people who refuse to respect your faith, who misunderstand your priorities, or who weigh down your spiritual journey. It's not cruelty, it's clarity. In those moments when you feel abandoned or misunderstood, remember, Allah is near. Every rejection you face, every cold response, every betrayal is an opportunity to strengthen your bond with Him. Ask yourself, is my relationship with Allah strong enough to endure the loss of others? This burden is not a curse, it's a purification. It is Allah realigning your priorities so that your heart belongs to Him first and foremost. And in the loneliness, when your heart aches, know this: Allah does not take something away without giving something better in return. Hold on to that promise, for it is a sign of His mercy and His higher purpose for you. Number 6. A resilience that grows in silence. Have you ever felt like you're fighting battles no one else can see? That while the world goes on, you carry burdens in silence, enduring struggles that remain hidden from even those closest to you? It's not because you are weak or forgotten. No, it's because Allah is teaching you a form of resilience that the world cannot give, and more importantly, cannot take away. In today's culture, everyone seeks recognition. People share their struggles for likes, validation, and sympathy. But when Allah chooses to keep your battles private, He is preserving something precious, your reward with Him. Every tear you shed alone, every moment of frustration you swallow, and every time you remain silent in the face of hardship, Allah sees it all. The Qur'an reminds us of Allah's closeness to the believer. And we have already created man and know what his soul whispers to him, and we are closer to him than his jugular vein. Surah Kahf 50:16. Reflect on the story of Mary alayhi salam, the mother of Isa, Jesus alayhi salam. When she endured the immense trial of childbirth alone, away from her people, she cried out in despair. Yet Allah comforted her, providing sustenance from an unexpected source, a stream of water and dates from a tree. Her struggle was silent, but her resilience was nurtured by Allah Himself. Do not grieve, your Lord has provided beneath you a stream. Surah Maryam 19:24. Similarly, your quiet endurance is not unnoticed. The world may not applaud your sacrifices, but Allah is recording every ounce of patience and strength. Every moment you choose to trust His plan, instead of seeking immediate recognition, you are growing stronger in faith. This silent resilience is the kind that transforms you, not with noise, but with an unwavering heart. Ask yourself, who do you endure for? Whose approval are you seeking? If your answer is Allah, then know that no hardship is wasted and no struggle goes unseen. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The greatest reward comes with the greatest trial. When Allah loves a people, He tests them." Tirmidhi. So, my dear brothers and sisters, when you feel like giving up, remember, silence is not emptiness. It is the space where Allah strengthens you, polishes you, and prepares you for what is to come. Your resilience is not a burden, it's a sign of trust. Trust in the one who sees what no one else can see. But what is the purpose of all these trials, this solitude and silent growth? Where is it leading you? That's where the final sign ties everything together. Let's explore it. Number 7. A heart that clings to hope. No matter how heavy your trials feel, no matter how lonely your journey becomes, or how deeply misunderstood you are by those around you, there is a quiet whisper in your heart that says, "Keep going. This is not the end." That voice, my dear brothers and sisters, is not merely your willpower. It is the rope of hope that connects you to Allah. It is a divine lifeline sent by the most merciful that refuses to let despair consume you. Have you ever noticed how, even in your darkest moments, there's always something, a seemingly random verse from the Qur'an that finds you at just the right moment, a dua that brings tears to your eyes, or a small act of kindness from someone when you least expect it, that pulls you back? That, dear believers, is not a coincidence. It is Allah's gentle reassurance that He is near. Allah promises us with absolute certainty, "For indeed, with hardship comes ease. Indeed, with hardship comes ease." Surah Ash-Shar 94:5-6. Reflect on the beauty of this promise. Allah doesn't say ease comes after hardship, He says it comes with it. For every moment of struggle, there is a companion of relief, even if it seems hidden at first. Allah, in His wisdom, places light within the darkness. You just need to hold on long enough to see it. Think about the story of Prophet Yunus, alayhi salam. Trapped in the belly of the whale, surrounded by layers of darkness, the darkness of the night, the ocean, and the creature itself. He could have given in to despair. Instead, he turned to Allah with complete submission and hope, saying, "There is no deity except you. Exalted are you. Indeed, I have been of the wrongdoers." Surah Al-Anbiya 21:87. His sincere plea, made in the depth of hopelessness, became the very reason Allah rescued him. This is the essence of hope, to believe in Allah's mercy even when all doors seem closed. When you feel like you are surrounded by darkness, be it the loss of a loved one, failed opportunities, or shattered expectations, never let go of the belief that Allah's help is near. Now look back at your own life. Have there not been moments when you thought you couldn't go on? Times when relationships fell apart, opportunities slipped through your fingers, or when the weight of expectations became too heavy to carry. Yet somehow you kept moving forward. Perhaps it was a prayer you whispered in desperation, or a silent moment of clarity that made you realize Allah has always been there. This hope is not mere optimism, it is a divine gift. It is the strength that allows you to rise after every setback, and the gratitude that deepens after every blessing. While the world may whisper to you, "Give up, it's over," Allah reminds you in the Qur'an, "Do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins. Indeed, it is He who is the forgiving, the merciful." Surah Az-Zumar 39:53. Clinging to hope is proof of your trust in Allah's plan. It is a declaration of faith, a testimony that you know the one who created you has not abandoned you. When your heart whispers, "Keep going," listen to it, for it is Allah guiding you toward a relief you cannot yet see. So, brothers and sisters, ask yourself, what is the hardship that weighs heavy on your heart right now? Have you turned to Allah with hope, trusting that ease is already on its way? Your struggles, no matter how overwhelming, are not without purpose. Every tear you shed, every dua you make, and every ounce of patience you exhibit is seen, heard, and counted by Allah. The hope that lingers in your heart is your proof that Allah is near, closer to you than your jugular vein. Hold on to that hope. It is not a weakness, it is your greatest strength. It is what will carry you through the trials of this life and bring you closer to the eternal reward that awaits the patient. The path of the chosen ones is not easy. It is often lonely, filled with tests, silence, and burdens. But through it all, the heart that clings to hope emerges stronger, purified, and ready to fulfill its divine purpose. So, will you trust in Allah's promise? Will you hold on to hope when everything else fades? For those who do, Allah guarantees, and whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Surah At-Talaq 65:3. Your hope is your shield, your faith is your guide, and Allah is your refuge. Keep going, for this is not the end, it's only the beginning of something greater. My dear brothers and sisters, as we reflect on these 7 signs, a profound and comforting truth emerges. Allah does not place tests, challenges, or unique paths in your life without a purpose. Every moment of hardship, every feeling of being different, and every quiet triumph is a piece of His greater plan, a plan crafted with infinite wisdom, mercy, and love. These signs are not just reminders of struggle, they are clear evidence of Allah's care for you. They are His way of molding you, purifying you, and elevating you to a station that you may not even realize yet. Your solitude, your resilience, your hope, each of these is a gift, a mark of being chosen for something extraordinary. If today's discussion touched your heart and made you reflect, I invite you to take a moment and truly think back, not just about today, but about your life as a whole. The experiences you endured, the challenges you overcame, even the painful moments you could not understand, aren't they all part of Allah's way of preparing you for something greater? There's more for you to uncover. On the screen now, you'll see a video that explores how even your childhood struggles were part of Allah's wisdom in shaping your journey. Don't miss it. It may open your eyes to connections in your life you've never noticed before. Before you leave, let's turn this moment into a collective reminder of faith and trust. Leave a comment below with the words, "Ya Allah, guide me to see the wisdom in your plan," or share any personal words that resonate with you. This small action may seem simple, but it is a declaration of trust, one that can inspire both yourself and others to hold on to faith during life's trials. Finally, I want to thank each and every one of you for staying with me on this journey. Jazakallah khair for watching, reflecting, and seeking closeness to Allah alongside me. May Allah bless you with peace in your heart, patience in your struggles, and strength to continue walking your unique path with courage and sincerity. Remember, no matter how lonely the road may feel, Allah is always near. Trust in Him, hold on to hope, and know that you are never walking alone. Until next time, may Allah's blessings and mercy surround you always. Ameen.